Now we will learn some important carbon compounds. Many carbon compounds are invaluable to us, but here we will study the properties of two commercially important compounds. There we'll study about ethanol and ethanoic acid. So first of all, let us talk about properties of ethanol. What is the molecular formula of ethanol? It is C2H5OH, or we can also write it as CH3CH2OH. Ethanol basically is an alcohol. It is a liquid at room temperature. Here we are learning the properties of ethanol. In that, we discussed that it is a liquid at room temperature. It is commonly called alcohol, and it is the active ingredient of all alcoholic drinks, which means in all alcoholic drinks, this is the main ingredient, main compound. In addition, it is a good solvent. And because it is a good solvent, it is used in medicines such as tincture iodine. Now, tincture iodine is an antiseptic, and this ethanol has antiseptic properties. That is why it is used as an antiseptic in tincture iodine. It is also used in cough syrups and many other medicines. Ethanol is also soluble in water in all proportions, which means whatever amount you take of ethanol is soluble in water. Consumption of small quantities of dilute ethanol causes drunkenness. Even if you consume it in small quantity, then also it leads to drunkenness. Even though to consume ethanol is condemned, it is a socially widespread practice. However, intake of even a small quantity of ethanol, which is also called as absolute alcohol, can be lethal. What does that mean? Even small quantity of ethanol is sufficient to cause death. That is the meaning of lethal. Something which is sufficient to cause death. So even if small quantity of ethanol leads to death, and if ethanol is consumed long term, then it leads to many health problems. So this all are the properties of ethanol. Now we will see the reactions of ethanol, which means we will be learning chemical properties. This all were physical properties. Now we will be learning chemical properties. So first of all, we will learn reaction with sodium. Here there is an activity to understand. We have to take some pieces of sodium into ethanol, and then we have to observe. As a result, we will observe that hydrogen gases evolved in the form of bubbles. Also, the compound formed is sodium ethoxide. Now, how does it happen? When we take solid sodium, that solid sodium will melt into ethanol, and when it melts into ethanol, it forms sodium ethoxide. At the same time, it gives bubble, and that is hydrogen gas. Here is a reaction of ethanol with sodium. 2Na plus CH3CH2OH. 2Na, that is sodium, and this is ethanol, that gives sodium ethoxide. 2CH3CH2ONA plus H2, that hydrogen gas. Now let us learn second reaction, that is reaction to give unsaturated hydrocarbon. What is done in this reaction? Heating ethanol at 443 Kelvin at very high temperature with what? With excess concentrated sulfuric acid. In more amount, that sulfuric acid has to be taken. As a result, what we'll get? As a result, there will be dehydration of ethanol, and which gives ethene. In general, we all know what is dehydration, right? That is removal of water. Here also, when this ethanol is burnt, is getting heated at very high temperature with more amount of concentrated sulfuric acid, then dehydration of ethanol is taken place. What is dehydration? Removal of water. Here, dehydration of ethanol means what? From ethanol, water will be removed. As a result, what is formed? Ethene. Let us see the reaction also. CH3CH2OH, that is ethanol, if it is heated with concentric sulfuric acid, then it gives ethene, CH2CH2 plus H2O, which means water is removed. Here, the concentrated sulfuric acid can be referred as a dehydrating agent. Now again, this word came, agent. When we learned oxidation, that time we learned oxidizing agent. The substances which are able to add oxygen. Here it is what? Dehydrating agent, which means what? These concentrated sulfuric acid is able to remove water from some compounds, and that is why it is known as dehydrating agent. What are dehydrating agent? The substances which remove water from other substances are known as dehydrating agent. Here, concentrated sulfuric acid removes water from ethanol. So this is all about physical and chemical properties of ethanol.